All right, we should be live. What's going on, guys? My name's Chris. I'm with my co-host JP Fluellen, and thanks again for joining us for another episode of the Success Agent Podcast. Well, we're going to talk about strategies to help real estate agents sell more homes while spending less time and less money to do so with 21st century business tactics. Now, you can catch us live here every Wednesday on our Facebook page, just facebook.com/success agent. Now, we're also on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, several other platforms. You know, if you want to take us on the go, definitely do that. But please be sure to leave a rating. That's just going to help us long term. Now, last week, we were focused on the content of building a team and doing so through attraction. And attraction primarily made up from providing value to those agents, you know, really focusing on your agents and not yourself. That's going to give you the biggest boost to business. Now, this week, you may have noticed something different. We got a very special episode here where we're for the first time going to feature a guest speaker. Here we have Chris Donaldson. He is the founder and producer of the Donaldson Project, which is a podcast, as well as he also has an online education platform. I'm not going to get into that too much. I'll let Chris do a quick bio real fast, and then we're going to actually just dive right into the content as per usual. And today we're going to be focusing on why everyone shouldn't be a real estate agent. So why don't you go ahead, Chris, explain yourself, and we'll just go from there, all right?
Yeah, no, thanks, Chris and JP and all of you guys out there watching. I really appreciate being a part of the podcast. Listen, I've been in the real estate space starting as an agent in college because I couldn't pay the bills. My phone calls home from college were really simple. Hey, Dad, I need money. And then on the other end was a no. That's why you were supposed to have a scholarship. So everything about me was I had to work for it. Real estate was a great avenue. And I've been doing the education and training part for over 15 years, actually 17 years now. And I love the name of y'all's podcast, The Success Agent. I love the way that you set it up, that you're doing it in a new way. I think we're all three of us, at least, and all of you guys watching, we're aligned in that way. I spend every single day getting up, coming to work, and through our 3 education companies that we have now, producing products and services from passing your real estate exam all the way through how am I going to use Facebook Live in order to build my real estate business. We focus on all of that to close the gap between you guys wanting to be able to do it, the information you need. So we try to close that gap. So I'm super excited to talk about this with you. Thanks again for having me on. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, my pleasure. This is going to be great. So I guess we can just dive right on in. So as we said, our main topic is why everyone shouldn't be a real estate agent. And in your expertise or your experience, Chris, what are like the top 3 reasons as to why people shouldn't just become a real estate, or why people shouldn't just dive right into real estate and become an agent?
Yeah, no, I think that's a really interesting question when you ask a guy that, you know, runs a real estate school. So on the front end where everybody's real estate dream comes to really begin, right? I'm an optimist. And I think that 3 thoughts that come to mind when you say that is, I'm not going to necessarily say that I agree with that sentiment, although I love the headline. But what I will say is not everybody should get into real estate if you don't have a purpose, if you don't have a reason, if you don't know why. So as an example, I don't know about Wyoming where you guys are, but in Louisiana, there's the licensing authority. Like there's a process if you have a criminal record for applying for a license, right? And I'm just using this as an example. And when they do that in Louisiana, they make you sit in front of the commission. And because there's no law here that you can or cannot have a license based on what your criminal background is. So our famous story is our famous or infamous ex-governor Edwin Edwards, who was in prison for racketeering, was given his real estate license back when he got out of jail. So everybody can or cannot have. But here's my point. I've sat in a lot of those because there are a lot of times they're before hearings. And the first question the commissioners will generally ask is, why do you want a real estate license? And it just always amazes me how few people have an answer to that. So what I'm always thinking about, what I'm always discussing is real estate is an amazing industry that's got so many parts that you can play. I just think that you've got to have that one reason, even if it's, hey, I want to make money. That's okay. How are you going to do it? Right? What is your plan? What's going to be your niche? So my first thing is that you shouldn't get into real estate unless you at least have an idea as to why, because I think that's really important.
Right. Definitely. And I think it's something that's easily forgotten, easily ignored, because it kind of it requires you to think internally about, about yourself and what you see your future as. And that can kind of be scary for people. They can sit there and kind of doubt what their thoughts are. They can doubt their future, which is only going to negatively impact, their overall, why. So how long did it take for you to figure out your why, or was that like right out of the gate, you knew what you wanted?
I mean, for me, I guess I'm kind of a weird case, right? That's why I do the education and training part of the industry, because when I was a realtor, and I mean, we're talking, I was a young in college age realtor. When I was taking continuing ed classes or seeking out more knowledge or trying to do better, it was instantly apparent to me how broken the education and training space is in real estate. I'd never liked it. It didn't make any sense. Why do the classes have to be boring? Why do the subjects have to be things that are not relevant to my business? And so I literally pivoted hard, because the one thing that I saw was, hey, I'm a teacher by nature. I like helping others. If I were at a real estate brokerage like y'all's, I would probably want to be the team leader or the manager. I like putting other people on, right? It's part of the reason I want to be on y'all's podcast. If anything I can do to help you, that's what I'm into. And so that was just more fun. And it's my place. It's my niche, right? So by identifying that, it gives me the purpose, which makes it easy, because guys, I'm regulated way more than, I mean, when you're aggravated, you have to put something on a flyer because the regulator says so, or you have to put this disclosure on something. Well, I've got to do all of that and all the rules that the regulator makes for education institutions. Oh, and by the way, in all of the various states that we're in. So like, I just brought on this whole, but it makes it easy to navigate that stuff because it helps me accomplish the end goal, which is helping folks just like you and JP accomplish what you want in any way that we can. So, it was an early pivot. I can't explain it. I'm just lucky that it was an opportunity and I could run through that door and not look back.
So going down a rabbit hole.
I like that. Let's do it.
Give me 3 things that you think is broken with the system right now.
Oh, baby. Okay.
Ooh.
When you say the system,
like so I'm a new real estate agent.
Yeah.
I need to get my license.
Yeah.
I'm going through the classes, and then I show up at my brokerage, they give me the keys and they show me my office, and then now what?
Right. I think, well, I'll start where you ended. One of them is, I think that's a big part of the problem. And JP, we've talked about this, and in the last it's 2019, about 5 years, I've gone on a journey of discovery, because I thought it was just a Louisiana thing. So I thought it was just a Louisiana thing that, settlement service providers and boards and free CE classes is where the majority of licensees were getting their education every single year. And as I started to travel, I realized, whoa, that's not just a Louisiana thing. Thank you. It's actually an industry thing, which is, I call it the boomerang effect, JP, what you just said. And for me, for far too often, folks were coming to school here. They were passing their exam. And you guys know, for everybody, that's a different level of effort. It's a bigger deal to some, right? It's hard work. They're juggling a lot of things. They may not have been in school in 20 years. They might be unemployed. I have this one student that's one of my favorites. He was working plant work, shift work every night. So all through the night, 7 to 7, would sleep in our parking lot till 9 and then come to class every day.
Wow.
And that dude is super successful. So what I'm always thinking about are those stories. So the boomerang effect is you go through all of that, and then they're boomeranging right back to me going, okay, Chris, I got my license. What do I do? And unfortunately, it's because continuing ed is like the bare minimum. It's supposed to remind you of the laws, the ethics, the rules, which are important. But then it's, what do you actually need to know to succeed? And listen, there's various parties that have dropped the ball at various levels. But what I identified was that there was no real training, education, and programs out there that were helping these folks, at least from the ground level up, in a way that meant any sense, if they weren't lucky enough to have a broker or a team leader or a mentor or somebody that was going to walk them through it. So that's the first. JP, the second is, I think continuing education is used as a marketing weapon rather than its intended purpose. So nothing against title companies out there. I have lots of friends. Nothing against mortgage companies. Guys, we just talked about the power of speaking on stage. This is a stage, and what it means to have a captured audience. So I understand why mortgage companies and title companies and all these folks with good nature and good faith to build their businesses are giving continuing ed classes. But I think the problem is that there is far too often those things are abused to where you guys don't come out with any level of knowledge that's actually serving the public any better than when you walked in. And I think that's a real problem. I mean, I always use the analogy, if I'm going to get heart surgery, I'm really hoping my heart surgeon's taking a class on the freaking heart in a while. Like, I'm really hoping he's done that. But there's way too many realtors and real estate agents, and some, because they don't have any other option, are taking these free classes or these CE courses, and you guys aren't learning anything because the person on the other end doesn't care if you learn anything.
Right.
And then I think the third is headline reading. I was thinking about this last night. I think all businesses, in fact, the podcast that we're about to publish with my friend Lee Brown, we talk about how headline reading is a major problem in all industries, but especially real estate. I could post a headline right now, you guys know, that has Zillow in the title, put a couple of emotional words in there, say they just unveiled a new program, and there are agents that are going to spend all day on Facebook complaining in Facebook groups about the new Zillow headline, and they don't even know what it is. So maybe I'll do that, and I'm going to make it up. It's going to be a made-up Zillow program, and I want to see how many agents spend all day long. So when we're talking about education and training, it's really about the focus on what matters. So what we do, part of what we say, that's not an official statement, if you will, it's just something that I like to share, is that we take the non-sexy stuff and we try to make it sexy. So we're going to take a license law class, and when you walk out, you're going to be like, wow, I'm glad I took that class, because one, I'm going to stay out of trouble, and two, it was entertaining, and three, I actually learned things I can apply to my business. Why does that have to be boring? Why does it have to be something that you don't want to do? I've just never really understood that. That's the beginning of the rabbit hole. JP, I hope I answered your question.
Well, thanks for biting.
Yeah, no problem, dude.
So it's obvious that we know what your why is, and it's obvious, and it's important because that's going to pretty much predict your future. If you have a good why and you understand what it is, it's going to predict ultimately the actions that you take in the future, which will predict your future.
Yeah.
Going on to the next topic, what else? What other things should people look into before just diving in? So we have, what's your why? What's your second one?
Yeah. So just so that we don't get posted and I'm not roasted, let's say that everybody shouldn't be a real estate agent, right? I think what's more important is, so we know why you do it, right? And by the way, at our schools and our academies, money's on the table. If you need to make money, that's okay. But that's got to be connected to what you're going to do to earn that money. Right. If you're just like, I'm going to earn money, and you just sit there and wait for it to start raining, there's a job where that happens, but this is not the one.
9 to 5.
But I think the second thing is really audit yourself and understand what you're good at. What are you really good at? And how is that going to contribute to a real estate business or to the real estate sector that you want to get in? For example, if a lot of real estate agents are amazing with people, They're amazing. They're incredible. They've built empires on being awesome with people. And I think that is so important. But they are horrendous advertisers. Horrendous. They have no idea how to market. And again, it's not that it's their fault. It's that I'm expected to be a great negotiator and a marketer. Oh, and I've got to document all these forms and file them and have them in the right place in transaction coordinator. Oh, I got to know numbers, all these things we have to do. Mm-hmm. So I think sometimes it's good to audit yourself up front. What are you naturally inclined? What are you good at? Really understand how that's going to bring value to the other person that you're going to be working with, and then make that a cornerstone of your business and the value that you're going to present to the marketplace, so that you can offset the things, or you can learn about the things that maybe you're not so good about. Like real estate math is the thing that people fear the most when they come to real estate school. They freak out. And I get it, because math's scary. Some people have no background, or they just walk in deciding, I'm not good at math. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I'm not going to sit here and tell you have to be great at numbers to be a great real estate agent. But it's probably a good idea you have somebody on your team, in your office, an assistant, somebody you can call on that is great with numbers. Mm-hmm. So knowing what you're good at. So why am I doing this? And then what is the really important value? What am I naturally good at, right? I'm a talker. I'm loud. I'm sure of myself. I'm probably in the right niche, right? And that's okay. Right. That's a good thing. If I could sing, I'd probably sing, but I can't. But I can project, right? But I'm genuine in that I want the person in the seat. I want you guys. Like, the only thing I care about right now is that this podcast brings value to y'all and your audience. I want it to matter. It's not about me. When I walk into a room, I'm thinking, there you are. I'm not thinking, here I am.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I'm literally thinking about the other side. Yeah. So, we're at an interesting time, guys. I think in real estate, just kind of adding to that. Now, I want y'all's thoughts on this. Mm-hmm. I think everything's come full circle. And I think that now, look, we are having a face-to-face meeting where three guys are having coffee. We're just doing it through the internet on Facebook Live where other people can join in. I think this is right back to how somebody built their business 30 years ago. And if you're really good with people, you are in really good shape right now. Just the mechanism you're using to communicate might be different than it was.
Right. Yeah, I'm in complete agreement. Because like you just said, we're having a face-to-face. You're from Louisiana. I'm 100 miles south of JP or something like that in Colorado, and JP's up in Wyoming. But we can all have a great conversation and build off of things. But more importantly, this conversation isn't staying in this Zoom conference room. You can go find this on our Facebook page or on iTunes, like we said. You can go find this content and just, really just enjoy it and eat it up and then make something happen because of it. Mm-hmm. And, we're seeing that with our brokerage. It's funny. Like when I first started going into the world, I had to do some classes to get started. Right. And what I would do is I would sit in the auditorium, and once the class started, I'd watch the class or whatever. And then we would have an intermission in between classes. So I'd pretty much just close my laptop, take a 10-minute chill break, and then come back to it. Mm-hmm. Well, what I decided to do this last time around was actually just stay on and be present, because people tend to stay in that auditorium. Yep. And we had a mini mastermind out of nowhere that wasn't structured or anything. We were just talking about agent attraction. And all of a sudden, Cindy from Illinois and Chuck from Chicago, myself, and then JP could have been there, Don from Texas, whatever. Point being that you can just congregate very easily through a different medium, but still have the same valuable conversations.
100%. I think that's what's interesting about our business and education that I've noticed, is that I have been pleasantly surprised by how many people are still choosing the live classroom option.
Yes.
All of the things that we do, when we've got the best online and virtual platforms available too, right? For that reason alone, the social aspect, right? I think it's interesting. So the class that you just mentioned, or the thing that you mentioned, what was that? Like that was real estate class? That was a C class? type
Well,
environment?
No, it wasn't a CE class. So that was the other thing. You know, there's just so many classes that I can go to.
Yeah.
And I can pick what interests me.
Right.
So what I was just interested in learning is about agent attraction. You know, how does this work? It's not recruiting, it's purely attracting by providing.
Oh, he's talking about the EXP world.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I was doing.
It's trying to simulate the in-person environment online.
Oh, I get it. Virtual training platform.
Yeah.
Like
So
virtual
you
reality training.
Create like an avatar of yourself.
Yeah, I get it.
Physically,
I know it.
Virtually there. Yeah.
Yeah. So what was your question again?
No. No. First of all, I just think that that's incredible, and I think that one of the things that our company's mission and where your broker are aligned, and where maybe our worlds will collide sooner than later in a great way, is that understanding what it was like to be a realtor, understanding what it was like to be hungry, understanding what it was like to seek out training and mentorship, and how messed up that world was. I think brokers that get it are going to be far ahead. I think that agents that seek it out from good places, but I feel a responsibility that as a real estate school, that we can do more. So I can do more than just get you through the exam. I can do more than just get to punch that card and give you those credits that you're required to do. I can do more during that process, but I can also offer more on the other end. And look, I practice what I preach. I mean, to date, we've got over 50 hours of free business building and interview content on my YouTube channel that there's no hook, there's no sales pitch, there's nothing. It's just literally, JP was on an episode. We talked about how to dominate a small market because I was tired of hearing, well, my market's too small. You don't understand. Yes, I do. Let me bring on JP, who dominates a small market, right? So always putting information to the marketplace that can help others. I think that it's my duty and my responsibility, because what I want to do is see a lot more real estate. So rather than everybody not get into real estate, I'd rather see everybody that gets into real estate that really wants to work at it to actually have a chance to succeed. Because I think there's a huge gap, and you guys, I'm interested in your opinion, but statistically, there's a huge gap. It's, the old 80-20 rule that people tell you. Now I'm just ranting, so stop me whenever. But the old 80-20 rule, I think, is BS, because people used to say, 20% of real estate agents make 80% of the money. That's BS. I've run the numbers. It's more like 1% does 90%, or 1% does 95%. It's total BS. The big top agents are getting bigger. It's why you're building teams. Okay. So if I'm new and I'm getting into real estate agent, into the real estate industry, I see it as an opportunity. Twofold. One, I could jump on a team that's got all the business and instantly start making money while I'm learning how this works with people that are getting it done. So I don't have to worry about where my business is coming from. I've got that option. Or the second option is there is a tremendous chunk of business out there that if you go get it, it's yours, because a lot of those top agents are living on referrals and they're not in the trenches seeking out and prospecting and marketing and really working on filling up their pipeline. It's a tremendous opportunity for you. So our real mission here, when I say the boomerangs, how to fix them, is to take that gap. I call them the 19, from the 1% to the 20%. What can we do? Because those are the ones that are willing to put in the work and are being led astray, left behind. So I still think this industry has room to grow. And I think there's a lot of people that can do great. I think joining a team like yours, I think understanding the opportunity that's out there. So when you know what you got, you know what you want, and then you know what you're good at, they can approach the Titan team and they can say, listen, y'all are really good at what you do, but I'm kind of like loud and good on the social media thing. Would that help you? And if you guys are like, yeah, that would help us, I'd go, well, let me do that. Let me start helping to bring in leads if that will help you. And all I ask in return is that you help me learn the real estate industry on the other side. Let me sit there at listing appointments. Let me watch.
And that's just one of the things where people don't want to bring value. You know, they're like, what are you going to do? Like what you're saying, like when you get into the real estate business and you're going to go on a team, you're going to start out there and try to do business, you're on the stage. You gotta be like, okay, so how am I going to bring value to you so you can bring value to me, rather than now I've got my license, gimme. Or here's my office, I don't know what to do, and then have your little pity party. You know, it's like, okay, well, how can I think about what can I bring to the table that's going to basically be valuable for the entire team? And that's where the industry, the landscape of the industry is shifting from old school brokerages to this team environment where you've got smaller teams. You've got everybody's on the same page. We're all working together for the same goal, is to really dominate our market, you know. And I've got this saying that says we need 33%, which is in order to be hugely successful in any environment, you need to figure out how you're going to get 1/3 of the market share.
Yeah.
And so we have this whole process of what we're working towards on our team in order to get 1/3 of that market share. And I've got a long-term plan that's going to get us there. And so when you're new and you can step into an environment like that, where it's like, wow, I have all of these things at my disposal.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're at a huge brokerage, it's like, honestly, we don't care about you. You're just a number. And hopefully you can prove to us that we can keep you. But reality says that we're really not going to show you how to be successful. We just know that you have a real estate license and there's a sea of people out there. So go get them, Tiger, you know? And that's, you know, and so that's where this huge change in the landscaping of how real estate is being done today. And of course, in Wyoming here, you know, we're 10 to 15 years behind the curve. So
dude, that is impossible for y'all to be behind us.
Dude, trust me. When you go on the internet and type in Wyoming, people are still on horses and cowboy hats. I mean, I kid you not, it's a true story. I had a client 2 years ago. She was on the internet doing some research on Cheyenne. She was like, I honestly thought that I needed to wear a cowboy hat and cowboy boots or I was going to feel out of place. Thank God that it wasn't that way when I actually came up here because of how we're represented online. So just so you know.
Well, you know, that's the same way where everybody, I literally get calls that say, look, I want to move down to Baton Rouge, you know, but I'm worried about alligators. Those are legitimate conversations. And it's like, okay, we're not all swamp people. I sound like the guy on TV. I don't know where to find them. I mean, I do, but I don't know what to do with them. You're fine. We have these things called suburbs. We have these things called cities with concrete. You'll be fine. But I think that's why real estate's still so freaking valuable. Because if I was moving to Colorado, which, by the way, shout out to Katie, my lovely sister lives in Denver, and we're having a baby shower there in a couple of weeks for her. So shout out to Katie. I got some family in Denver.
We lost you. Oh, you're back. Never
Got
mind.
me back. Sorry,
Yeah.
I grabbed the cord. That was my bad. I would call y'all because I wouldn't know anything about Wyoming, where to live, what the difference is. You, Chris, I'd be like, hey, tell me about Colorado. Where do I go? You know, I'm a golfer. I'd be like, look, where are the communities where there's a golf course close by and all these things? Real estate is not and agents that provide value are not going anywhere. This idea that Zillow or any of these platforms, artificial intelligence is going to replace us, not unless you let them.
Right.
And what I mean by that is letting them is that you become a robot where you outsource everything. You can't do anything more than Google can do. Well, you allowed yourself to become extinct. You know, so I want to ask you guys, I'm curious. Last week you said, what was the topic y'all talked about last week?
I was building a team and focusing on providing value to build that team and not so much focusing on internal goals.
On internal goals. Okay, that's interesting. So team building and that kind of thing. Well, share with me something, because here in our organization, we're scaling. In fact, one of Donaldson's plans is to be in Wyoming as soon as within the next 90 days. So anybody out there, you guys, Colorado's going to be next on the list. Like, we're expanding our mission with the credits that come with it across the country because of this thing called the internet. But as we're doing that, sorry, I just did it again. As we're doing that, I'm having to hire a lot more people. My team has doubled in the last 30 days. It's going to double again in the next 30 days. So my question to you guys is, what's the number one thing that y'all have learned or that you're implementing when you're building a team that you find the most valuable? So you go from, sorry, what is that? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. I think it's my headphones. So what is one thing that you guys have learned that's really helped you out in that regard? So it's easy when you're just working for you. Right. But the other part is a lot of people build teams because there's only so much real estate you can sell by yourself. There's a limit, right?
I think,
there's a cap.
I think your second point has been the biggest thing, in that understanding what you're good at and just focus on that while allowing other people, giving the trust to other people to take care of what you can't, or even if you could, you couldn't do it very well, and it would affect what you're really good at.
Yeah.
That's been my biggest thing. Just like letting go of stuff, letting people really show and experience, what they're capable of, and accept that, it's not me doing it. It's not going to be my perfect, but that's really okay.
Yeah. For me, it's been learning how to give value to your team, not just leads. Because what happens is, when you're on a team, you got to pay a team split. And so, my biggest thing has always been, what am I getting for that split other than just leads? And do you genuinely care for your team? The best coaches out there were either super, super mean, but through that meanness, they could see the passion that they had for success, because they were so passionate. The only way that passion came out was through them screaming and yelling at you to be the best you could be. Keep doing, keep going, keep pushing. Yeah. And at the end of the day, those players would always go, we loved our coach, and the masses would go, what the hell? If I had somebody screaming at me all day long, I'd be like, get the hell out of here.
Right.
And when I was in the military, like, we had these drill sergeants that would, throw us on the ground and like make us do push-ups until we wanted to die and run up and down the hill in the back. But at the end of the day, they're like, when graduation came, they were totally different people. And they're like, we really just wanted you to succeed. And this was the pain and the endurance and the things you had to go through to see yourself succeed, and through, whether it's, in real estate where, you have a one-on-one with all of your team at least once or twice a month, so that you can show that you care about their business and what it is that you're going to hold them accountable to. And when they're not accountable to them, then you call them out on all their BS, because, real estate agents are really, really good at excuses, and so.
Humans.
Well,
humans.
Yes.
Humans. Yeah.
And so, it's one of those things where it's like, if you're going to give value to them, they're going to give you value back.
Right. Sure.
Teach them how to grow and you will get a garden,
Cool. Well, I know we kind of have to we're going to wrap this thing up. So it sounds like number 3, I'm just going to kind of guess here. But it was kind of like combining 1 and 2. Pretty much, most importantly, figuring out your why. Why the hell are you doing all this? But then 2, figuring out, how does that why play into what you're good at, or what you're good at? How does that play into your why? Would you say that's right?
Yeah. The why is something that's used a lot, which is a great term, but I think sometimes it can be misconstrued. So like I have a questionnaire in one of our advanced real estate training programs here. And what it says is, the first question is, what do you hope real estate brings to your life that you didn't have before? And so it just makes them think about it. In other words, why am I getting this license? And what I'm trying to do is just inspire them before they get into the work of having to read the textbook and study for the exam. Why am I going to do all of this?
Right.
What is the purpose, right? The second is, what am I just naturally good at? Like, what am I good at? Am I good at dealing with people? Am I good at numbers? Am I right? And then the magic is connecting 1 and 2 to help you find your place in this amazing, incredible $1 trillion industry. That's the magic right there. So when you say not everybody should be a real estate agent, I think everybody could and should get into real estate. It's just a matter of what's the appropriate role for you to play.
Yep.
Because there are lots of people that make lots of money or are extremely successful. However you see that, and variety of ways that maybe somebody that's walking into our real estate school today isn't even aware of yet, that we're going to be able to share them. So why am I doing this? What am I naturally good at? And how is that going to fit into the niche of this amazing industry, and how I can contribute to get what the market needs, which will in turn get me what I need.
Perfect. I think
that sums it right up.
Yeah, I'll say that's a great summary, Chris. Cool, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode, our very special episode. Let me know what you think about having Chris on. Did you enjoy his stuff? Did you enjoy this flow? Just let us know. We're looking for some feedback. Chris, why don't you just kind of explain, how people can get a hold of you if they have questions, about your real estate school or any other things that you can provide. Why don't you just give us a quick little plug about that?
Sure. Yeah. No, listen, I'd love to help anybody out there anytime that I can. We've got a live show on YouTube. We've got a podcast that we've launched. Just go to christalks.com. It's the easiest to remember. Boy, does that make sense? Is that branding 101? Yeah, christalks.com. You'll see the podcast I just did with Lee Brown is up there. I just did a Facebook video we call the Ask Donaldson Show on how the real estate exam has changed. Okay. Because I think that everybody needs to know that. So that's kind of the hub. Go to christalks.com. You can find all the social links. And if I can help you, Chris, you, JP, or any of you guys out there listening, reach out to me, send me an email. I will help you as any way that I can.
Awesome. Yeah, I could see doing another one of these in the future, which I think would be great. I love the energy that we're bringing on. JP, how can people get a hold of you?
I don't have it that simple yet. I should get there at some point, but
JP has a lot of stuff.com.
Yes. So the easiest way to get a hold of me is just go to Google and type in JP Fluellen and you'll find me everywhere. So
well, that's a lot simpler than it used to be. Guys, if you want to get a hold of me, I recommend just reaching out through the Facebook page, Success Agent. Alternatively, you can just find my personal page and just reach out to me there and I'll definitely get back to you. Thanks again, Chris. This was a fantastic conversation. I got a lot of value out of it and just getting, your expertise, especially in the education niche. And I really hope our audience gets the same value that I got at least.
Absolutely. I really appreciate you guys, what you're doing. I appreciate y'all having me on. Very thankful, and anything I can do for you, let me know. That's a real statement, not just boilerplate.
Excellent.
Awesome. Thanks.
All right, guys, you all have a good one and we'll all talk soon. All right.
All right. Take care.
See ya.